Hey everybody! Just a quick reminder, these stories aren't always public perfect conversation. I do use a lot of strong language in here, and I talk about some things that aren't always necessarily pleasant to hear. But I hope you still enjoy it. Also, please don't forget to check me out on everywhere you can find music and other podcasts. Mostly, follow me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can get ad-free content, 24 hours early access to episodes, and for $3 a month, you get the options of having community chats with me and some of the other fans. For $5 a month, you get voting powers on any changes I want to run through the fans. You also get priority requests and suggestions, live Q&As, community chats, one-on-one chats with me personally, either through messages or through calls, and maybe we can even set up a time to be a guest on the show. And of course, that's in addition to everything from the lower tiers. I'm planning on doing more with the community as it grows. With that being said, let's get into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Stories from Behind the Counter, and as always, I'm your host, Alpha. Today's show, we got some interesting stories, we've got useless bosses, we've got people huffing paint and air duster, and a nice fresh bomb threat that I've been through. But before we get too far into that, don't forget to go and check out some Aspire, wonderful energy drinks. It's helped me kick the bad habit of the 200 milligram energy drinks that just gave me the shakes and made my stomach upset and caused all sorts of problems. Aspire is a nice, clean energy drink made out of green tea. It's only got 80 milligrams of caffeine. It's just a lot healthier than some of these other ones. Even if I do have the need to drink 2 or 3 a day, it's still not as rough on my system as drinking 2 or 3 of the other kinds of drinks. So check them out. Use my promo code SFBTC to get 20% off of any of your purchases. That's SFBTC. Pretty much stories from behind the counter. You take the first letter from each word. That's your promo code. You save 20%. I get a little kickback from it. We're all happy. Next up, we have Prep Starts Now. PrepStartsNow.com has everything you need for camping supplies, survival, or even just getting ready for an emergency. They have survival packs, they have tents, they've got cooking utensils, a little bit of everything. Go on and check them out. They're pretty decent quality stuff for not an expensive price. Plus, if you use the same promo code for Stories from Behind the Counter, SFBTC, you get 15% off any purchases. Yes, you can use this multiple times. This code is not going away anytime soon on either of these ads. So, save a little money. It gets me a little kickback. Everybody's happy. And with this one, you know you're going to be safe, knowing you have what you need, no matter what. And just a quick little reminder here, I know I've been pushing a lot on Patreon, but for those of you who are listening on Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, anywhere that you find me, please remember to make sure you're still liking, subscribing, sharing. Get the word out there, pretty please. Share the show. It really does help the algorithm. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you're hitting the little bell. Do all the things that let you do. All the things. Comment. Everything. Share me. Let your friends know. Please, as always, send me your stories. It helps keep the show going. The more stories I get, the more I could do this full time like is my dream. I've brought it up before. And I'm going to keep on poking at you guys until I get to do it. That being said, let's go ahead and hop into the episode. So first up, we're going to be talking about a bad boss that just always called me. It didn't matter if I was on vacation, dealing with a family emergency. Even though he was my store manager and I was just the assistant manager, he called me for everything. So we're going to talk about that. I'm working at a small retail place at this time. Like I said, I'm an assistant manager. I had the option to take over the store, but I didn't feel like I was ready yet. So, the store manager who hired me very quickly tried to teach me everything, snapped, went on a 3-day weekend, turned in their 2 weeks' notice, and they were gone by the time I was like 6 months in, if even. I didn't know what I was doing, wasn't comfortable, so they pulled this guy in from another store. At this point of the story, I'd only been with the company for about 8 months. And this guy, who has been with the company a little longer than me, and he was an assistant manager at another store longer than me. Not exactly sure how long, but I'm pretty sure he was there a little bit longer than me. A month before my vacation, my mom gets a hold of me and says that she needs to move ASAP from up north down here home in the Southwest. Not exactly the best timing, but it is what it is. She's my mom, obviously. I do what I need to do. I tell my boss what's going on. I tell him I'll be back in about 4 days. I fly out, I get my mom. We're driving this giant moving truck all the way from up north, all the way across country, pretty much. And this guy calls me at least once a day to ask me simple questions. Not even store manager and assistant manager stuff, but simple stuff he should be able to figure out, like cashier stuff he should already know. Each time, I'm either trying to get ready to lay down for the night or I'm driving, he's calling. And I keep reminding him, dude, I'm on the road. I'm trying to take care of family stuff. You have a training manager that you can reach out to. You have your old store manager you should be able to reach out to. He's just a town away. And you even have our district manager. Like, get a hold of our district manager. If you can't get a hold of any of the other store managers, what are you doing calling me? Well, whatever. It is what it is. By the time I finally get home from this trip, I get my mom settled. We get back to work. I'm trying to get things as fixed up as I can over the next month so that the store will be good while I'm away on an actual vacation. I will be on an 8-day cruise out of the country. I'm super excited for this. It's the first time I've ever done anything like it. So, we get everything all set up. I leave on my vacation, and the day we're boarding the ship, as we're pulling into port, guess who calls me? My store manager. He's asking me something about the deposit from the night beforehand. I remind him that I was 5 hours away already last night. I was staying in a hotel getting ready for this cruise. I have no clue what happened. You might want to get a hold of your closing manager on duty. That was not me. So we finally get on the ship. I put my phone in airplane mode and I connect to the ship's Wi-Fi. Just before the ship is leaving port, guess who's calling me? My store manager again. This time he's calling to ask questions about why the till and the deposit looks like they might be $100 short. I reminded him again that I am on vacation and he's got other people to call. But from the amount he gave me and what sounded like was going on, sounded like he either hit some extra buttons when he was putting the till in or he forgot to punch some buttons when he was putting the till in. Either way, it would have been an easy fix and he needs to call another manager to help him. And I hang up. I still managed to get texts and calls while in the middle of the ocean because I was on the ship's Wi-Fi, which was slightly annoying. But at that point, I just decided I was ignoring them. I was not taking any more calls for the rest of the entire week. I was trying to have fun on vacation. Now, if any of this sounded slightly familiar, it's because I did kind of slightly go over this back on episode 6, Back to the Craziness. This is the same store manager that once I got back from this said 8-day cruise, he ended up getting himself fired, and I ended up taking over the store at that point. If you want to hear more about that one, and it doesn't sound familiar, go on back to episode 6, Back to the Craziness. Anyway, moving on to the next story. This one is another fun one about how brilliant some customers can be. So I'm working at a hardware store at this point, and we have a department that takes care of special ordering, windows, doors, and stuff like that. The store's policy is that you have 30 days from the time your item arrives to the store to come and get it, or we'll have to return it to the vendor and charge you a restocking fee. Or if we can't send it back to the vendor, then we've got to try and sell it, which is very annoying most of the time, at least from a business standpoint. Everyone is told this from the beginning of all their orders. Before it's paid for, it's repeated at least 4 or 5 times. Customers sign an agreement. Well, this guy kept saying he really needed these windows and he needed to know as soon as they came in. Duly noted, sir. So the guy working the department has a note to himself and to me so that we can both partner and make sure that this guy gets his windows. The windows take about 2 weeks or so to get to the store, but when it gets in, my coworker and I tried multiple times to get a hold of them. 2 months go by because we know how serious it is, and a couple times we did get a hold of him, it was, I'll be there this Friday. I'll be there this Friday. Well, multiple Fridays later, and he still didn't come in. 2 months later, we really don't have a whole lot of choice. We were supposed to get rid of this a month ago, and we've been nice. We're still trying to get a hold of this guy. He won't answer. He won't respond to calls, emails. He won't call us back. We have now filled up his voicemail box with so many voicemails telling him to come get his window. We've been more than courteous. We told him one last time in an email, we need you to come get this by this date, or we will have to cancel your order, charge you a restocking fee, and send it back to the vendor. No answer. Day after we give as a deadline, we cancel the order. We charge the restocking fee and we send everything back to the vendor. It's on the truck, it's gone. Guess who calls in at that point? Oh, hey, bud, I was just checking to see what's going on with my windows. Sir, we've been trying to get a hold of you for 2 months. They've been here, but you weren't answering anything. You knew they were here, and you said that you were going to come and get them at one point. It's been 2 months. We just canceled that order and sent it back. We had to charge you a restocking fee, and everything else was refunded to your card. Sorry. Oh no, that's not good. Oh, sir, I don't know what you expected. I'm sorry that it's not very good for you. You knew they were here. We tried to get a hold of you. It's been 2 months. If you needed them that bad, why didn't you come in or answer or call us sooner? Obviously, there was some sort of breakdown in communication, but it wasn't on our end. That's when I had to walk away and I had to let the other guy who made the order take care of it. I believe that ultimately he ended up reordering everything he needed, and my coworker reminded him that he needs to answer the phone and or call us regularly for updates moving forward. I just don't understand how people say that it's so important and then we go 2 months trying to get a hold of them, and I don't know. At least he was nice this time. Most people would have cussed us out like we were idiots. At least this guy was calm. I couldn't handle the disconnect in his brain, to put it nicely. I feel like he might have been a little bit too old to be doing whatever he was doing. But hopefully it was professionals actually doing it and he was just paying for it. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story. I apologize in advance if anyone notices that my voice is kind of going in and out. I'm trying not to let my voice crack too much, but between my full-time job and then doing this, I talk an awful lot, and sometimes my voice just does not like to cooperate. So I apologize if it doesn't sound like usual. But the show must go on. I really do want to try and make this my full-time job, and if that is a thing, well, my voice has got to get used to talking a whole lot more, doesn't it? Anywho, so this next story is a real interesting one. This is the first Huffer story. I said Huffer. I'm not calling anybody fat. I'm just saying they are huffing spray paint and air duster. This is the first of 3 stories. This one was told to me by one of my coworkers who had heard it from another coworker a couple years back at an old store he used to work at. Apparently, one day while this guy was working down the paint department, he heard some weird noises and he couldn't quite figure out what was going on. Luckily enough, it wasn't super busy or anything, so he decided to go and check it out. He comes around the corner from the spray paint aisle, and there's a guy with a 5-gallon bucket and about 3 or 4 cans of spray paint already open, used, and sitting on the floor, all different colors. He sees this customer grab another can from off the shelf, spray a whole bunch of it into this bucket, and he just puts the bucket on his head like it's some sort of space helmet. Apparently, he just wanted to try all the flavors, but either way, now the employee knew what was going on. He had to call management. Once they got there, he kind of walked away. So the guy who told me this story is not sure exactly how that management team handled this one, but I appreciate the story. That is definitely a new one. The second story. I'm working at a bigger retail place. I just got back from lunch, and my garden associate comes up to me and asks me, "Man, the fuck is wrong with people?" To which I just kind of chuckled, because after 15 years of retail, that's a very broad, open-ended question. So I chuckled and responded with, "A lot, but what specifically this time are you talking about?" He goes on to tell me he was going to the bathroom. He walks in and he finds this guy on the ground, head kind of tilted on the wall, like he either slid down the wall or he fell and it looks like he might have broken his neck. The guy's eyes are completely open. The associate thinks he's seeing a dead body, essentially. He tries to get the guy to wake up, respond with something. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay? Bro, you good? Hey, can you hear me at all? Can you move at all?" Nothing. Not even an eye twitch. The hands, nothing is moving. At this point, management kind of hears some commotion. He goes, gets them. They come, check it out. And dude is just barely coming to. And that's when they see the can of air duster on the ground next to him. I'm not sure what happened after that, but from what I heard, they did not call the cops or anything. The dude just got up and kind of bolted out the door as quick as he could. Which brings us to the third huffing story. So about a week after the bathroom huffer, I get back from lunch. Again, of course, it's always when I'm getting back from lunch. Why not? I barely get back to my department, and there's a customer reporting a guy passed out in his van, and he is blocking traffic. All I could ask is, "Do you mean like here in the parking lot or in the main road?" They say here in the parking lot, far south side of the lot. I book it without asking any more questions. I find the van expecting someone having a seizure or heat stroke, something along those lines, something going on, some sort of medical emergency. Well, the van is stopped, 100% stopped, brake lights on, turned on, seemingly in gear. But it is parked in the way of traffic. Almost like he was driving out of the parking lot, stopped, realized he wasn't feeling well, and passed out or something. I'm not sure. So I walk around to the van at what I believe to be a fairly safe distance, at least safe enough to where he can't grab me or swing at me with anything. He would have to have either a gun or throw something. Well, I see the guy passed out in the driver's seat. His eyes are kind of fluttering, and I kind of shout at him, and I'm like, "Hey, you okay?" And that apparently scared him awake. He looked at me with this big dopey smile and eyes that reminded me of Marty Feldman. If you don't know who that is, let's just say his eyes were facing two completely opposite directions, and he responds with, "I'm great, how are you?" And that's when I noticed a can of air duster rolling off his chest and into his lap. I replied with, "I'm doing fine, you were the one passed out, man. Are you sure you're okay?" To which he immediately panicked and said, "Oh no, are you going to call the cops?" I tried to just say I just wanted to make sure you were okay, but by the time I said the word wanted, He pulled out like a bat out of hell and he hit the main street with lots of traffic. Luckily, he didn't cause any immediate accidents or anything, but at this point, now I absolutely have to call the cops. So I called 911, passed off the bit of the license plate that I saw and description of his van. And I don't know, I never got a call back from the police on if they caught the guy or not. But I never read about or heard about any accidents involving said van, so who knows? Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe we won't. We're pretty sure it's the same guy from the restroom incident, though. All right, I think we have enough time for one more story here. This one is about the newest bomb threat that I've been through. Happened pretty recently, actually. Fun times. So, I'm working at a big retail place. Yes, this is a different retail place than the other two bomb threats that I talked about before. But this place is nice and busy. We're short staffed, so they actually called me in on my day off, and I was stupid enough to say yes, and I came in. Well, we're trying to handle the day as much as possible, as well as we can with what we're given. I have two people in my department. They used to be in my department at one point, but have since both moved to separate departments. Now they're over here just trying to help out because it's so hectic. Phones are going off. The line is almost never ending, and there's noise everywhere. Well, one of the calls was this one lady inquiring about something she needed to return. We can't find any kind of order for her, or with the information she's giving us, find any kind of receipt. So we're trying to help her out as much as we can, but she can't even remember how she paid for it. One of the people who is just trying to help my department out is trying to help this lady, and her call was somehow disconnected. But my coworker said that the reception was pretty rough the entire time and it was hard to hear her. So it is what it is. I'm sure she'll call back. We've got a line to deal with. So after a few minutes, of course, she calls back. The other person trying to help out my department is now trying to help this same lady. After just barely a few minutes of trying to help her, she goes into this complete batshit crazy rage and starts yelling at him and cussing at him and threatens to blow up the building. He just says, "Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm ending the call now. Okay?" And he hung up. He then proceeded to look at me and said, "This is why I don't like to help your department, sir. I get yelled at and people threaten to blow shit up." I say, "Excuse me?" And so he had to explain what she said, what happened, all that good stuff. We have to report this to management now. I've been through this too many times. Obviously, they're not saying that anything's in the store right at the moment, just that she's going to come down and blow it up at some point. So, we should report this just in case. Sadly, you cannot be too careful. As much as you want to be like, oh, she's just blowing off steam, she's upset, crazy old lady's probably not going to do anything. I mean, we've all seen and heard the news. There's bombings and shootings and all sorts of crazy, stupid shit from, sadly, any and all age groups, any and all ethnic groups. You can't pin it down to anything, even if you wanted to be stereotypical. You just can't trust anybody anymore. You never know. When someone's had enough, they've had enough, and you never know what's going to happen. So, I did my due diligence. Me and the other two people who were, for the most part, involved in this call brought it to management, and I would like to believe they brought it up to their higher up, and hopefully they did whatever they needed to do, get a hold of local authorities or whatever. But hey, it's been a while now, and nothing happened, so luckily enough, it seems like she was just blowing off steam. Unless she's plotting right now as we speak. In that case, I guess we'll have to find out, won't we? I promise if I ever plan on stopping the show, I will put out an episode letting you know so. But in other words, if it just stops and you don't hear nothing, that might be why. On that note, I think we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. Thanks again for listening, guys. As always, I appreciate everyone who's been listening, and especially those who've been sending me their stories. Again, whatever I call you on the show is all you will ever be known as. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to Denise Esparza from Nisi Art on Instagram. She's the one who's responsible for the thumbnails that you guys see when I upload my episodes. Check her out on Instagram if you want to see what else she can do. I want to give a shout out to Nivation as well for the intro and the outro music that's provided for the show. You can find Nivation on Spotify and on Facebook. Nivation, Denise, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate both of you for helping me keep this going. With all that being said, this is Alpha signing off. Stay fabulous, everyone.